So here's my top 10 list, kind of like in the spirit of like David Letterman. Like, I guess that kind of makes me old, right? But here's my top 10 list. Well, I guess you can't see those too well, and what I want you to do is I'm going to go through these really quickly, and then I'm going to come back to you and say which one resonated, and let's talk a little bit about like where you're at with that. Because I want this to be about you and not me, because I live this every day and spend lots of time thinking about these things. So 10 attributes of efficient and effective church accounting. So efficient and effective, like we concentrate on making things as efficient as possible. Because when I was in seminary, I didn't meet any colleague there that wanted to be an accountant. There just wasn't anybody there that wanted to be an accountant. They wanted to preach, they wanted to teach, they wanted to be engrossed in the Bible, but they didn't want to be an accountant. So efficiency is really important, right? And then effective, like we can take the information that we've generated in our accounting and make decisions. So first one, establish expectations of excellence. So what I often see, right, is that there's finances in the church and then there's ministry. The reality is that finance and ministry are like one and the same. You can't really separate them. If you're going to do ministry well, you have to do finance as well, right? Like you just can't separate the two. Let's see, details matter to a point, right? Like details matter. And so you have to create systems that are going to capture those details. All right, number 2, understand your limitations. Doing accounting well is not like a lot of other things that you can just do on your own, but you decide to outsource. You know what I mean? Like I have someone cut my grass because I don't like doing that, and I've fortunately got the means to do it. I could get my teenage sons to do it, but it would be a lot of like coaxing and that kind of thing. Accounting is not like cutting grass. It takes training and skill, right? So it's not just like starting up the mower and going. I see we get a lot of messes to clean up in our firm, right? So know what your limitations are. Volunteers who are skilled have limited time and energy. There used to be a day and age, right, where there was this dear saint of God who would come in and handle all of your finances in the church. That's gone. It's gone. Or those people are retiring. They don't want to do it anymore. Or you have people that are like CPAs, but they just don't have the time and energy, right? They got kids. They got other things going on in their life. So accounting requires skills and training. I said that. Find administratively gifted people to help you. But also know if someone's not administratively gifted, don't use them. Because they're just going to cause a lot of problems, right? I often sit as an outsourced kind of provider to the church and go, I wish I could tell that pastor that person's on the wrong seat of the bus. Right? And I can't, because our relationship is not like, we're not, I'm still the outsourced provider. So make sure that person has giftings in that area, and then outsource if needed, right? I'm not here to sell our services. Tell Jeremy all the time, I have so much work, it's coming out of my ears. I can't hire people fast enough right now. So, but outsource if you need it, because it takes that burden off of you as the pastor or ministry leader. Keep it simple. Have one bank account. I see churches with like 10 bank accounts. Why? Oh, we want to divide it. No, we can teach you how to do the accounting out of one bank account, okay? Thank you. Consider bills on auto debit. Like if you got the cash, just let that utility bill just get paid on auto debit. Just let it just go, that electric bill can go right out of your bank account. Limit restricted funds. Man, oh man, we could talk about this for a while. I literally have churches that probably have 40 to 60 restricted accounts, right? They've got the organ fund, the building fund, we're going on this mission trip fund, but it's only for this mission trip. It's not for the next mission trip. So limit those restricted funds. Consider the administrative and financial piece of whatever you're going to do. When I was a pastor, I had this senior pastor that would just go, and I was always trying to catch up with him as the administrative pastor. Don't do that. Slow down and figure out, can we really administratively handle this? Let's stop and let's try to get, whatever, the administrative piece of it backfilled before we keep moving. All right, embrace technology. There is some really cool free technology out there that helps us. Credit card expense management is one of the big ones, online giving. The days of having to have accounting team of 5 people that's in some office for like all Sunday afternoon is over, right? Like there's lots of platforms and tools you can use for that. Keep up to date. I always tell people accounting is like laundry. It's always there. Like literally since I've driven from Durham to here, I have clients that have like lots of transactions that we have to deal with as a team, right? So come up with like a weekly processing day that you're going to get everything done and stay up to date, because like in our house, right, Friday is laundry day. If we don't do laundry on that Friday, the next Friday we have like, instead of having like 3 or 4 loads, we have like 8. Right? So it's no fun. It just gets awful. So stay up to date, establish that weekly workflow. All right, can you get me to the next one? All right, budget. Okay, here again, we could spend all of our time talking about budgeting. Budgeting is so important, right? Because the key thing they taught me in business school was like you can't manage what you don't measure. So you have to have a way to say, if we're going to spend X amount of dollars, like in this ministry, did we do that? Did we spend more? Did we spend less? Why? So a budget is really, really important. Ask leaders what they need. You can take the whole budgeting process and like kind of farm it out to your leaders and get them to tell you, this is what I need. This is how much money. This is what I'm planning to do. Start with end reports in mind. People always say like when they're starting, I think there's probably some church planners here or people really early in starting church. The thing that I always say is you have to, in your mind, conceive of as a leader, what information do you want to have? What does that report look like? And then once you have that report, then we can go back and we can start developing chart of accounts and classes and funds and that type of thing. But you've got to start with the end in mind because the reports are the key. All right. Mimic the structure and hierarchy of your church. When I look at your books, I should be able to see what the structure is of your organization. That's key, right? I should be able to see it broken into departments. You should be able to see who's kind of overseeing each of those departments, like who's responsible for that department in terms of the budget. All right, next one. Decentralized responsibility. This is huge, right? This is huge. So we work with churches that are like smaller than your household budget, right? All the way up to multi-million-dollar churches, right? And one of the key things that's important to do is you got to decentralize that responsibility of getting accounting information back to the hub, right? So I can get into that more if that kind of piques your interest. Credit card coding, right? This is huge. One of the churches I have, 150 employees, 100 credit cards. How in the world do you deal with that? You make sure that the card holder is taking care of doing all that coding and attaching receipts and handling all that kind of information, right? There's not one central person. That would be awful, right? That would be like, can you imagine one little person walking around and like, hey, I need this receipt? Like that would just be a nightmare. Pay bills on cards, right? Like one of the things that we're getting into a lot is away from checks and more towards credit card transactions. Churches like them because you build up lots of rewards and then you can travel. And so you can have, one church I'm working with literally is saying no more checks. If you got a card, we want you to put that bill on that card. So that's another way to decentralize responsibility. All right. Build simple and repeatable processes and train others. So this is huge, right? Like you've got to come up with systems and they've got to be simple and you got to be able to get people to repeat them and you got to be able to train them on it. There's cool apps now, things like Loom. Does everybody know about Loom? It's like a video. It's like you can take a screen, kind of shot of your computer as you're doing something. We use a ton of Loom videos in our firm. We can literally say like, okay, this is how you do this process step by step by step. So those type of things are really important, simple and repeatable processes. The things I thought of immediately were like counting tithes and offerings, like that you need a team of people to do that. So you need to train them well. Approving bill payments, like how do you do that? All right, focus on quarters for trends, not weeks, not months, quarters. I see a lot of anxious pastors in the world, and their lives are literally going up and down based on their weekly offering. Don't do that, right? Like a good offering or a bad offering is not a trend. It's just a single data point. Focus on quarters to see like, how are we doing? What's giving looking like right now? All right, here's a bonus. So this was supposed to be number 11. Manage your cash. Right, this is huge. Like as a pastor, you got to know how much cash do I have? What are the ways that I'm going to do that? What's my runway? Like if I didn't get another cent in giving, how long could we go? That's what I mean by runway. Yeah, so those are 11 things.